Number 8. I can say anything I want. People love using this phrase like it's some kind of invisible armor. It's a free country. I can say anything I want. It's like the adult version of saying, "You're not the boss of me." And technically, yes, you can say anything you want. You can say pineapple belongs on pizza. You can say Apple phones are better than Samsung. And no, Apple didn't sponsor me to say that. But the part nobody includes in the slogan is the fine print. You can say anything you want, and people can react however they want. That's where things get interesting. We've all seen it happen. Someone posts a harmless opinion, and suddenly the group chat becomes a courtroom. Someone makes a joke at a family dinner, and the whole table goes silent. Someone tries to be honest with their friend, and now that friend isn't replying. Freedom of speech allows you to talk. Freedom of consequence reminds you that other people get to respond. Most people don't actually want freedom to speak. They want freedom to speak without anyone being upset, which, unfortunately, is not how life works at all. The funny thing is, the strongest freedom isn't the ability to speak. It's the ability to pause. That pause you take before hitting send, before making a joke, before speaking out of frustration. That's the part that saves friendships, group chats, and family dinners. You can say anything you want, but the real question is, do you want to deal with what comes after? Number 7. The Finders Keepers Rule. Finders Keepers is one of those childhood rules that felt absolutely official, even though no adult ever confirmed it. You find a cool pencil on the floor? Yours. A $50 note left under the desk? Destiny. But then, adulthood shows up and ruins the fun. Because suddenly, if you find a wallet on the ground, you can't just go, "Well, the universe chose me." No. Now you have to return things, file reports, feel responsible. Still, the instinct never fully left. You see it in everyday life. Take the office, for example. Someone leaves a charger plugged in at the pantry. Day 1, whose charger is this? Day 2, anyone taken this? Day 3, congratulations to me, I'm the new owner. Or the office stationery. Is this pen yours? No? Finders keepers. At home, your sibling leaves the hoodie on the couch. You wear it once, they never see it again. And in restaurants, the sauce packets. The moment they're left out, they clearly wanted people to take these. But deep down, Finders Keepers isn't about ownership. It's about that small moment of childish joy. The feeling of finding something unexpected and thinking, wow, lucky me. Life doesn't really hand out freebies often. So when it does, even if it's something tiny, our brain goes straight back to childhood rules. That's why the phrase survives. Not because it's logical, but because that small thrill of, I found treasure, is something adults don't feel very often anymore. Number 6. I can do whatever I want on my own property. There's something about owning a home or a plot of land that makes people feel invincible. I can do whatever I want on my own property. You've heard it before. Maybe you've said it yourself when trimming bushes, painting your fence neon green, or blasting music at midnight. Owning property feels like you're the ruler. And technically, yes, you can do many things on your property. But the fine print is where adulthood hits like a cold shower. Because property rights are not as a free-for-all. There's the zoning law, HOA rules, or noise ordinances quietly sitting in the background. Suddenly your freedom has limits you didn't even know existed. Neighbors are the first reality check. Your midnight electric guitar solo might technically be legal, but that doesn't stop Mr. Thompson across the street from filing a noise complaint. Freedom on your property comes with the invisible contract called consideration. You can do what you want to your own property, but the people around you still get to live their lives. And the real question is, are you ready for the neighborly consequences? Number 5. The customer is always right. The customer is always right is one of the most well-known ideas in business. A magical phrase that makes customers feel like the main character the moment they walk through the door. But as we grow older, it becomes painfully clear that the customer is not always right. Sometimes the customer is tired, confused, overwhelmed, or dealing with a bad day and taking it out on retail workers. The phrase wasn't even meant for people. It was meant for businesses. A strategy to encourage better service and treat customers with care, and not an invitation for customers to act like royalty. A way to say, even if you're wrong, we want your money, so we'll pretend otherwise. You see it everywhere. People arguing with baristas about drink sizes. That one person insisting their food is not hot enough, even though it's steaming like fresh lava. Customers demanding refunds for things they broke. People using, "I'm the customer," like it's a magic password to win any argument. And most of these situations come from simple misunderstandings, not evil intentions. The rule works best when both sides meet halfway. Customers who stay calm and workers who try their best. People who understand that the world doesn't revolve perfectly, even if you're paying. Because the truth is simple. The customer isn't always right. But most people, on both sides of the counter, are just trying to get through the day without turning one small issue into an entire episode of drama. Number 4. The landlord's right of entry. Renting a place teaches you many things, and one of them is this. Homes feel private, until they suddenly don't. You're sitting in your room, watching a video, wearing your home clothes, living your peaceful life, when suddenly, knock knock, or worse, no knock, just keys. Most people grew up thinking that once you rent a place, it's basically your territory, your cave, your safe zone. But adulthood reveals the unexpected plot twist. Landlords have something called right of entry. On paper, the rules are clear. They need a valid reason, they need to notify you, they can't just barge in. But in real life, the notice becomes vague messages like, "I'll drop by later," which somehow means, "I'm already outside your door." Or they schedule an inspection, and instead of one person, a whole squad shows up like they're touring a museum. It's not that landlords are trying to be intrusive. The rule was designed for emergencies and maintenance, not surprise visits. The rule genuinely meant well, but the emotional effect is real. It's the strange reality of renting, having a home that's yours, but not completely yours. A space you live in, but someone else ultimately owns. Number 3. The unsigned ticket. Tickets. Almost everyone has had that sinking feeling when they spot one on their windshield. And somehow, we all think we have secret rights in these moments, especially if it's an unsigned parking ticket. It's unsigned. I don't have to pay this. Immediately, you feel like you've discovered a loophole in the universe. You imagine yourself walking into court, ticket in hand, and dropping it on the judge's desk like a mic. Unsigned. Checkmate. Of course, reality isn't quite as dramatic. There's an entire subculture of people who treat this myth like a cheat code, proudly sharing photos of their allegedly invalid tickets. Everyone knows someone who genuinely believes this gives them the right to ignore fines. They'll tell you about it over beers and on forums. In some rare cases, technicalities like a missing signature, wrong driver's information might be waived off or dismissed, depending on local rules and specific circumstances. But courts see these unsigned tickets all the time and usually have other ways to verify the violation occurred. Still, the myth persists. It's the adult version of finding a loophole in a board game. Number 2. The digital ownership illusion. In the past, owning something was simple. You buy it, you hold it, it stays with you. Books lived on shelves. CDs lived in cases. Games lived in boxes you could stack like trophies. Nothing disappeared unless you physically lost it. Then, the digital age arrived and everything became slippery. Today, when we buy something online, an app, a movie, a game, a song, it feels like ownership, but it works differently. Instead of owning the item itself, we often receive permission to access it. A license, a subscription, a temporary right that can change depending on the platform's policies or updates. You buy a movie, and a year later, it disappears due to licensing changes. You store pictures in the cloud, then an update says your storage is full even though you deleted half. You buy a digital game, and one day it's removed because the developer no longer supports it. Most people don't think about this because digital access is convenient. But that convenience creates a strange, almost weightless feeling of ownership. We own things we can't hold. We trust platforms to keep them safe. We click agree on terms we don't read. It's not really ownership, it's access. And access lasts only as long as the system decides to keep the door open. Finally, number 1. My tree, my rules. Trees, nature's way of testing boundaries. It's easy to assume that if a branch from your tree stretches over the fence into your neighbor's yard, you automatically have the right to snip it or grab the fruit. It's my tree, so my branches, right? That apple, mango, or cherry dangling just over the fence, it's yours. Naturally, some imagine grabbing pruning shears, stepping over the fence, and trimming away. It's mine. My fruit, my rules. Reality, of course, has other plans. First, you cannot legally enter your neighbor's property without permission. Even a quick hop over the fence to cut a branch or snag a fruit could be considered trespassing. Suddenly, your rightful harvest turns into an awkward conversation. "Excuse me, what are you doing on my lawn?" Or worse, a formal complaint. Even if the branch hangs over your yard, you don't automatically get all the fruit. Local laws vary, but in many cases, the fruit technically still belongs to the tree owner. And if you accidentally snap a branch too far or damage the tree itself, liability doesn't vanish just because you thought it was fair game. Still, the myth persists. People love the idea that property lines magically give them full control over anything that crosses them. Leaves, branches, and fruit brushing into your yard feel like gifts from the universe. But the law tends to disagree at times. So yes, people imagine they have the right to chop, snip, and harvest freely. But in reality, your tree's branches don't give you unlimited powers. And stepping onto your neighbor's property is never as simple as it seems. That's all for today. Hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.